Welcome to our travel to the past of the most marked events of literature of all around the world in the 20th century. We're going to learn about the most significant writers and novels of that time. It all starts in the American continent in Puerto Rico. In 1911, one of Puerto Rico's first feminists, Luisa Capetillo, created A Nation of Women. This book talks about women's rights and the right to vote, among other things. Joseph Conrad was a Polish British writer, considered as one of the greatest novelists to write in the English language. In 1913, the Russian reader published Chance, and it was his greatest commercial success. Also, in that year, another Russian writer, Andrei Bely, published his novel Petersburg. The novel received little attention and was translated into English over 45 years later. Today, the book is considered Bely's masterpiece.
In 1915, Ryonosuke published Rashomon in Taikuban Nagaku, a university magazine, when he was 17 years old. In 1916, the novel The Home and the World, written by Rabindranath Tagore, is an autobiographical novel. It illustrates the battle Tagore had with himself between the ideas of Western culture and the revolution against the Western culture. Luke Sun, a Chinese novelist, wrote Diary of a Madman in 1918. It's a short story and was one of the first and most influential modern works written in vernacular Chinese, and it became a cornerstone piece of the New Culture movement. In 1922, the Irish James Joyce published Ulysses. This is the chronicle of a day in the life of Leopold Bloom, his wife Molly, and the young Stephen Dedalus in the city of Dublin.
Writer Thomas Mann published The Magic Mountain in 1924. It is considered the most important novel of Mann and a classic of literature in German language of the 20th century. The Lighthouse is the fifth novel of the British writer Virginia Woolf, published on May 5th on 1927. The novel centers on the Ramessays and their visits to the Isle of Skye in Scotland between 1910 and 1920. In 1928, a British writer, David Herbert Lawrence, published Lady Chatterley's Lover, and it caused a scandal, and it was prohibited at the time because of the scenes where sex was described explicitly. In Uruguay in 1930, Luis Melián Glafinur published La Historia y la Leyenda. This book talked about Uruguay as a nation and its government, which Melián criticized heavily.
In 1930, the book Leyendas de Guatemala is published, and it was one of the first compilations of all the short stories of Guatemala. It has stories and legends. In Chile, the poem La Oración de la Maestra is written by Gabriela Mistral in the year of 1930. It was written in an epic style with exaggeration involved. José Luis Borges was an Argentinian writer, and he was one of the great figures of Latin America in the 20th century. In 1980, he received the Cervantes Prize from the Great Spain Academy. In 1935, he published Historia Universal de la Infamia. It consists of biography stories and tales from different cultural and geographical point of view. All of these stories are made on criminals. In 1937, the British author J.R.R. Tolkien published the novel The Hobbit. It was wide critical acclaim. The book remains popular and is recognized as a classic in children's literature.
The Chinese writer Liu Xi published in 1927 his novel Rickshaw Boy. This book is one of the most important and popular works of the 20th century Chinese literature. It's a masterpiece of social realism, the margins of society, and philosophy of individualism. Iraqi poet Dildar published the Kurdish national anthem A Rakif in 1938. The poet wrote the anthem during the time he was in jail in Iran. The literary work is considered his most important work.
El Jardín de Senderos que se bifurcan was a book written by José Luis Borges in 1941. It tells the story of a spy hired by German officers.
The book The Little Prince was first published on April 6, 1943, as a novel by the French author Antoine de Saint-Exupéry. The bestseller book has been translated into several languages. Diary of Anne Frank is published in 1947. despite the author Anne Frank wrote it in between 1942 and 1944. In June 25, 1947, the book is published. It contains the detailed life of Anne Frank, a Jewish German girl, narrating her days in a series of notebooks during Hitler's anti-Jewish laws and genocidal desires during World War II. The French author Boris Vian published the book Fraud on the Daydream in 1947. Fraud on the Daydream has been the basis for 3 feature films and an opera.
A.D. Salinger publishes The Catcher in the Rye in 1951. It is a classic novel about teenage rebellion. It has been constantly challenged for its sexual liberalism.
In 1953, Ian Fleming published the first novel of James Bond, Casino Royale. The protagonist of the story is the agent 007 of the MI6, who must travel to a casino in the town of Royale-de-Laux in France in order to break the shift.
In 1953, the Mexican author Juan Rulfo published El Llano en Llamas. It is a book composed of 15 of Rulfo's best short stories, including a short story called El Llano en Llamas, not to be confused with the actual book.
The Indian writer Takashi Sivasankara Pillai published the novel Shaman in 1956. The novel was very successful that was translated into languages such as French, English, German, Russian, Italian, and also was adapted into a movie.
In 1959, the Chilean writer Pablo Neruda published Cien Sonetos Amor, a book that includes 100 sonnets that were written in honor of his lover.
In 1959, the German author Bertolt Brecht published the play The Irresistible Rise of Arturo Ui. The play is a satirical allegory of the rise of Adolf Hitler and the Nazi Party in Germany prior to the World War II.
Libertad bajo palabra was a book written in 1960 by Octavio Paz. This book is a compilation of all of Paz's most important and famous poems. It is divided in 5 sections.
In 1966, the Japanese writer Yukio Mishima published the first book, Spring Snow, of his trilogy, Sea Fertility. The writer made a lot of research for the novel.
In 1970, the Turkish writer Yaşar Kemal published Agridagi F. Nazi. It is an epic novel that tells the story of an impossible love between Ahmed, a peasant, and Gulbahar, the daughter of Mahmud An, the landowner of the lands and villages around Mount Agri.
Argentinian author Jorge Luis Borges published El Informe de Brody in 1970, which is a compilation of 11 short stories which, according to the author, are about destiny and ethics. The Argentinian author Manuel Puig published El Beso de la Mujer Araña in 1976. It is a story about 2 men who share a cell in jail. One is a politician and the other one is a homosexual. The story was prohibited in the 70s because of the military dictatorship in Argentina. In 1981, Colombian author Gabriel García Márquez published Crónica de una Muerte Anunciada, which was included in the top 100 best novels in Spanish of the 20th century. The story is based on a real event which occurred in 1951, which is about an assassination which the author describes in detail.
In 1983, the Spanish writer Rosa Montero wrote the intimate with lyrical tone novel I Will Treat You Like a Queen, where it takes place at a nightclub in Madrid, the Desiree.
In 1986, the Turkish writer Orhan Pamuk published the book The White Castle. The events of the story take place in the 17th century in Istanbul. The White Castle tells the story of a young Venetian who is taken prisoner by Ottoman soldiers in the ship where he was traveling.
In 1987, The Winter in Lisbon is a novel written by Antonio Muñoz Molina. It is about a jazz pianist named Santiago Viralbo, who starts an affair with Lucrecia, a girl he met who is wife of Malcolm, an art dealer. Lucrecia takes with her a map where indicates the location of a valuable piece of art of Cézanne. All Souls is the 6th novel of the Spanish writer Javier Marías in 1999. The novel takes place in Oxford and it is a fictional account based on the years the writer spent teaching in that university.
Gao Xingjian published the novel Soul Mountain in 1990. It is considered the most important work of the Chinese writer. The novel is a combination of story fragments, travel accounts, and unnamed characters. In 2000, Gao Xingjian won the Nobel Prize of Literature. In 1991, Koji Suzuki published a mystery horror story, Ring. The plot of the novel is that after 4 teenagers mysteriously die simultaneously in Tokyo, Kazuyuki Asakawa, a reporter and uncle to one of the deceased, decides to launch his own personal investigation. The novel Beijing Gushi was published in 1996. It's a Chinese novel of autobiographical character and its thematic is LGBT. It was written by an anonymous author with pseudonym Tongxi. In China, the online publication of the story sparked a scandal and has been banned by the government of the People's Republic of China.
The Indian author Arundhati Roy published the book The God of Small Things in 1997. It's a novel written in English, and the story tells the childhood experiences of two twin brothers in the Indian state of Kerala. The novel won the Booker Prize in 1996. Roberto Bolaño published Los Detectives Salvajes in Chile in 1998. The story actually takes place in Mexico and is divided in 3 parts. The first and last parts are extracts from a young man's journal. The second part is about various testimonials from 52 witnesses.
The Far Country of the Pawns is a detective novel written by Lorenzo Silva, whose work was published in 1998 and won the Critical Eye Prize. It is about the investigation of the dead Austrian girl Eva Heydrich. It is Sergeant Bevilacqua and Agent Chamorro's task to solve the mystery surrounding this foreign murder.
The Mexican author Fernando Vallejo wrote El Desbarrancadero in the year 2000 and was published in 2001. It reviews strong topics like AIDS, homosexuality, drug addiction, and brotherhood.
In the year 2000, Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire was published, and it was written by J.K. Rowling. The novel is about the competition of 3 wizards where it is supposed that Potter should not participate, but he entered anyways, reviving Voldemort. As we can see, all these books had a great impact in the 20th century society because they changed the way of people thinking. For example, in Asia, the novel Beijing Gushi had a big effect because of its thematic, a topic that remains a taboo. In America, the novel Nation of Women because it talks about the importance of women's rights and the right to vote. And in Europe, Le Petit Prince had a great impact because it talks about the pursuit of your inner knowledge, the simplicity of children, and the real meaning of happiness.